In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I stay organized using my Google Pixel 10 Pro. Let's get right into it. Hello friends, welcome back to another Google Pixel video. Thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for all of your support on these Google Pixel videos. In today's video, I'm going to be answering one of your questions. So someone did send a question along that I thought would be really great for a video and do a little bit of a refresher on. So thank you so much to that person that sent this question, but thank you also to anyone who sends me any questions that end up becoming a full-length video. Please feel free to continue doing that. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I organize myself using my Google Pixel device, specifically the tech or the apps that I use. That was the question, was like, how do you use your tech? How do you use apps to stay organized? And it's a really good question because if you've been on the channel for some time, you know that I am extremely busy. I am working multiple jobs while also trying to maintain a slow lifestyle. And all of the things that are associated with those spaces, it gets to be a lot. So I have a pretty firm organization system in order for me to free up time so that I can live a more mindful lifestyle. And I firmly believe that productivity and slow living go hand in hand. I believe it so much that I have a lot of videos on the channel and I have a lot of series on the channel where I talk about this. I have a Stress Less, Live More series, which was a more condensed series where I talked about exactly how, like step by step, how I shift my mindset in order for me to stress less and live more, and all of the applicable tools that I use for that. And then I also have monthly reset videos and I have quarterly review videos. All of these things are all associated with how I stay organized in order for me to stress less and live more. So I love talking about this, if you couldn't tell. So I really did appreciate this question coming in. And specifically in this video, I am just going to be sharing with you my Google Pixel 10 Pro and the three main apps, the three main digital organization tools that I use in order to stress less and live more, stay organized, be on top of my stuff, and how exactly it is set up and how it looks on my Google Pixel 10 Pro. So hopefully this is helpful, and it will be a little bit of a refresher for those who have been on the channel for a very long time because I have shown these apps before, but still, I hope that it's going to be helpful. So let's just jump right into it. By the way, if you're hearing random banging noises every once in a while in this video, that is just the nature of how my heat turns on first thing in the morning. So apologies for that, but just a heads up, you might hear that. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And as you can see here, this is my main home screen. It does look a little bit different from that video where I showed you what was on my Google Pixel 10 Pro. I do have to do an update on this video, but I did that one really recently. So I'll give it a little bit more time, but yes, it does look a little bit different. I'm just gonna swipe over to this section over here because this is basically the three main apps that I use on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, even yearly, quarterly basis, because they are so integral into my organization system. So I'm going to start on the top left and I'm going to jump into each of these apps. So as you can clearly see, I have widgets for these apps so they're very easy for me to jump into or access or look at on a very surface level. But I also jump into these apps and actually like play around in these apps, of course, in order for me to add the things that I need to add. So starting with the top left, as you can see, it looks like a calendar because it is a calendar. I'm going to click into that. And this is Google Calendar. So I've done a full-length video on this, but it's been a while. But this is essentially what the Google Calendar looks like once you open it. It probably may look brighter on your screen because I have everything in dark mode. But this is Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar so much. There are so many things that you can do. As you can see, it's on a weekly spread right now. But you can kind of like pinch and make it look shorter. You can like open it up so that you can see it on a very close basis, but you can also change the different views. So the first view is schedule. So this is what a schedule looks like. A single day. Again, you can pinch this and make it bigger, smaller, whatever you want to do. There's a 3-day view, which I find interesting. I never use this one. There's the weekly view, which is the pretty standard view. I think this is the default view, at least for me. And then we have the monthly view. And I'll also show you how my widgets are kind of set up to show different views as well. Those are the 5 different views that you can view your calendar based off of your preference. It is connected to your Gmail account, but you can connect multiple Gmail accounts to your Google Calendar. So for example, I have my personal Gmail attached to this, but I also have Sunday Paper House attached to this. Sunday Paper House is my stationery business. So I can see different events and tasks and reminders for my work and personal life. So that is kind of like how I can differentiate those things. I also color code things. So some things are color coded for Sunday Paper House, some things are color coded for my personal stuff, and you can toggle them on and off. So say you don't want to look at anything work related, you can toggle it off. I'm not going to show it to you right now because it'll show you my email addresses, but you can toggle it off. This is why you can't really see much on my calendar right now, because I deliberately toggled it off so you couldn't see like exactly what I'm working on. Some of it is like sensitive information. So just a heads up that you can do all of those things. Including the cool color coding. I think the color coding is a little bit more intuitive on the desktop version, so just a heads up on that. But I also want to show you like these little blocks that you can see. There's a few blocks on my calendar right now, and I want to show you the difference between some of them. So the one at the very top that's kind of hovering under the date, those are holidays. So if you click into it, it's just showing me like holidays. You can also put birthdays in here. If you hit the plus sign, you can see that the very first thing is birthdays. So you can add birthdays in there. I have a bunch of birthdays in here, of course, but if I click the plus sign again, you can also see that you can do out of offices. So this is really great for your work calendar if you want to add your work calendar and all of the dates that you're taking off. So you can see it on a personal level as well. You can add tasks and you can add events. Now, the main two things that I use are tasks and events. As you can see here, I'm going to just zoom in. These couple of blocks over here are examples of tasks. So you can see it says my task. I'm just going to hit edit so you can see how you kind of set this up. But it says cancel subscription service. So you can basically put your task here. Task example. You would put that there. You can put it as all day and it would kind of hover at the top. Or you can set a particular time. So let's say I put it at 8:30 a.m. today. I can set it if I want to repeat it. I don't want to repeat this particular task. And then in this section, you can put details. So the task, let's say, cancel service for Fubo. I'm just using that as an example because that's like top of mind. I do have to do that. And then you hit save. So it shows up as a task, and what's different between a task and an event is it's kind of self-explanatory, but a task is like a one-off thing, or maybe it's like a recurring weekly thing that you do, but it pops up on your screen, and it's not going to pop up on my screen because I have Do Not Disturb on right now to share my screen with you, but it would pop up on your screen at the time that you set for this task. Let's say it's like take out the garbage, and it pops up at 8:30. It will pop up as a push notification, and then it will ask you if you've completed it or if you want to snooze it. And so you can do whatever you want at that given moment. I'm just going to hit mark completed so that you can see what it looks like. It looks like a task literally crossed off on your calendar. So that's pretty cool. Love tasks. I do it for things such as canceling services. That's probably the main thing that I use it for. Sometimes I use it for like one-off things that I know that I need to do on a particular day. Like say, for example, I need to post something on a Saturday morning, but I'm not really sitting down and at my laptop to know like what work I'm working on. I will set it as a task so that like if I'm out and about, the task will pop up on my phone and I'll remember to like, okay, I have to stop for a second and post this thing. So that's just an example of how I use tasks. Another thing you can do is an event. So as you can see, this is a kind of like the setup for an event. It's pretty robust. You can do a lot of things here. You can add, let's say we're going to a birthday barbecue. We have that there. We can also toggle it around if we don't want it to be an event anymore. We think that it's going to end up being a task or an out of office. You can see the calendar that it's connected to. I don't mind showing this particular email because it's my business email. You can mark it as an all day thing. So I like to do this, like say I'm going to let's say I'm going on a trip to Tulum. I will set it as all day and I will have it extend multiple days so that it just hovers at the top that I'll be in Tulum for a certain amount of time. Or I can add a particular time. So say it's a birthday barbecue and it starts at 4 p.m. and it ends until like 10 p.m., let's say. I can do that. I can put in the time, I can put in the repeats, the same thing. You can add people to this. I like to add Ian to this because it just sends him a push notification or an email notification and then it appears on his calendar. So I like to do that if I want us to share things on our calendar so we both can see it on our Google calendars. There's video conferencing. If you want to do a video call, you can add a location. So say we're going to a dinner at a particular restaurant, I can put that in there. I can add push notifications however many times I want, and however long beforehand I want to. So I can do a push notification 30 minutes before, but I can also do a push notification an hour before. I can do one a day before, and I can do many of them. So say it's like something like, oh, I need to cancel a service, but I need to like remind myself multiple times before it gets to the very last day, before I can specifically cancel it on that specific day. I can do this kind of notification. And they can be push notifications, but if you go onto the desktop version of this, you can also set these as email notifications if that is of interest of you. You can change the color, as you can see, to their standard colors. I believe if you go onto the desktop version, you can do a little bit of tweaking and add your own colors using hex codes. Pretty sure I did that for Sunday Paper House. You can add descriptions, so you can put whatever you want there, whose birthday it is, blah, blah, blah. You can even add a Google Drive attachment. So maybe it's like an interview. You can add your resume to this, or you can add the job posting to this so that you can quickly open it up all in one space without needing to leave Google Calendar. Default visibility, if you want to share it with other people, if you don't want to share it, if people have access to your calendar, whatever it may be. And then you can mark it as busy or free so that people can see that, like, maybe it's just a reminder on your calendar if they have visibility into your calendar and stuff like that. So this is extremely, extremely robust for an app. I kind of see it similar to Outlook, but more intuitive, more user-friendly in my opinion. But long story short, Google Calendar is extremely intuitive. There's a lot that you can do in here. I don't want to spend too much more time on Google Calendar, but it is truly a lifesaver. And going back to the widgets, as you can see, I have a schedule widget here. So I can see things on a schedule basis. So if I want to see what I'm doing today, I can see it very easily from this widget without needing to click into it and expand it and kind of look through. The widget is really helpful in that sense. And in that same realm, I have a calendar over here, like the monthly calendar. So this is also Google Calendar, but I have it as a different view so that I can see it on a large scale. And I've mentioned this before, but I have it on a large scale here because say I am out and about and I'm talking to people and they're like, hey, are you free on the 17th of November? I can quickly swipe over, see that I have nothing going on there, and let that person know that I'm free. I can also pop into the calendar right at that given moment and start adding in the information if I do need to like reserve some time on the 17th for, I don't know, like a dinner or something. So again, extremely intuitive, makes my life so much more easier the way that I have it set up and the way that the app functions because it's a really great user-friendly kind of app. Moving on to the next widget that we have over here, this is Google Keep, and as you can see, there are some lists in there. That's essentially what I use Google Keep for. That is essentially what Google Keep is. It's essentially a note-taking app, but I love it so much because, again, it's user-friendly, it's intuitive, it's not overwhelming. So I'm going to click into it so that you can see some examples that I have here. As you can see, don't have too much going on, but I do utilize the archive. So there's like a ton of like archive notes that I have in here. Again, this is connected to your Gmail account. You can toggle between different Gmail accounts. So I have this one, which is my personal one. I can toggle over to Sunday Paper House and see all of my to-do list for Sunday Paper House if I had any in there. And just to emphasize, I use this as a to-do list kind of tracker, but it's a very simple to-do list. So if it's something really big, like a big project that I'm working on for Sunday Paper House, I'm not using Google Keep for that. I'll use a different app for that, and I'll show you that app in a second. But for very light, loose, quick to-do lists that I really just want to grab and go really quickly, for example, to see the meals that I'm cooking for this week, this is a really fantastic app and an app that I use for that. You can see there's 961 checked items. I use this every single week to plan out my breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. As you can see, it is a very simple to-do list, so you can check things off. You can add things if you want to. You can kind of swipe it around, move things around. It is very, very simple, again, but easy to use, which is why I love it so much. So let's say I add pizza. I will do something like that. I can hit X if I don't want it anymore. I can check it off if I don't want it anymore, or I've completed that thing. You can pin it, as you can see there, and it will pin to the top here, which keeps it separate from the rest of your to-do list. If it's something that's really important, you want to see it at the top of mind, essentially. You can add reminders for this. So as you can see, it's adding a bunch of different reminder suggestions for time of day, blah, blah, blah. You can use that as a way to have push notifications sent to you. So if I want this to push notify me on Friday so that I know to add things to this weekly meal before we go to the grocery, I can do that. And I do that. I also use that notification thing for paying bills because I have my bills laid out in here. And then I just go in here when I get the push notification and start paying my bills for that particular month. So really helpful. The last thing up the top next to the notification thing is to archive. I'm not going to hit archive, but if you want to archive, you can very easily do that. This ellipses right here is if you want to change the format of your to-do list. So you can turn it into a regular, well, it's going to delete, so I'm not going to do that. But if you hide check boxes, it will turn into a regular note and it will remove it from being a to-do list. You can uncheck all items, you can delete checked items, all of that good stuff. That is really helpful given that I have over 900 checked items. You can add different things here. You can add photos. Say you want to take a photo of a grocery list that you took, you wrote down. You can add images. If you want to add images of recipes, you can do that. You can draw. So like say you want to scribble something down really quickly, you can do that. And you can add a recording. All of these things I don't necessarily use because I like to keep this extremely simple, but I do love that the option is there and it's very easy to implement these things into the to-do list. It is quite robust, but also user-friendly, as I've mentioned multiple times. Here you can change the color of the background. You can add images if you want. You can remove the image completely if you want. So you can customize the colors there. And then over here, you can do other things such as delete this list. You can make a copy. You can send it to someone. You can add a collaborator. I add Ian to our weekend to-do list so that he can have it in his Google Keep as well. That is the main reason why I use the collaborator tool, is so that it can show up in that other person's Google Keep as well. I've also even done that in like wedding planning situations when we needed like a last minute weekend to-do list before a wedding. We used Google Keep and I shared this with the bride and I was able to like really quickly check things off. She was able to check things off really easily and we could do it on a collaborative level. Labels I don't really use, but you can label things. So if things are like personal and you want to keep it personal, you can label it that. If you want to label things work related, social related, whatever it may be, you can do that as well. So once again, another Google app that is extremely intuitive and robust and can do a lot of things, but you can do it really easily. So it makes it much more accessible. It makes it much more encouraging for you to open the app up and actually use it and actually like make good use out of it. Like I truly use this every single day of my life. As you can clearly see, I have weekly meals in here. I have my weekend to-do list in here. I have my office day to-do list in here. So like when I'm packing my bag, I have that there. I can archive it when I don't need it. I can swipe it really easily like that. And then I also have like some monthly home maintenance stuff in here. So there's a wide range of ways that you can use this, but it is always intuitive in my opinion. Okay, and obviously, just to go back to the whole widget thing, I have the widget laid out here so that I can quickly swipe over to it when I need to swipe over to it and see things without needing to click into it and actually like browse around. I can just see, okay, for dinner we have soup and grilled cheese or the skillet shells, blah, blah, blah. Which one am I going to do today? I don't need to click into it to see that information. I can just see it right there. Love widgets for that reason. Okay, moving on to the last app, and this is the biggest, most robust app that can do so many things, so I'm not going to jump into it too much. I also show this app on a monthly basis using my monthly reset videos or in my monthly reset videos. So if you want to see more of how I set it up and stuff like that, let me know in a comment if you want a dedicated video, but you can also check out my monthly reset videos. They're always included. This app is Notion, and this widget is for Notion. I'm just going to click into it right now so that you can see what it looks like. But this is my Notion homepage. Very simple. It has just like a lot of images and decorations, but it also has like a little to-do list here at the top. And then it has some little hubs in here. I like to call them hubs, but they're boards basically for Notion language. and you can click into those and see much more robust information. For example, I'm going to hit into house projects. You can see there's like a whole chart here, and then if you open certain things, you can even go further. So there is a lot that you can do in Notion. Notion is where the bulk of like a lot of big heavy projects live for me. And those big heavy projects are Sunday Paper House and Slow Morning Diaries. Those are my two main channels outside of like my 9-to-5 job. So I have a lot of information in those two hubs. I don't tend to go into them because it's scary in there, and it's also got some sensitive information. But yeah, Notion is something that I use on a very, very close basis. And so it's really important that I have very quick access to it, especially this quick like little to-do list at the top here. I use this space for my little to-do list here, my little master to-do list. I use it to go into Slow Morning Diaries and check out the different projects that I'm working on, such as YouTube videos on the weekly basis, planning that, my Substack newsletter on a weekly basis, what I'm posting on Instagram for that particular day, what should I be doing on this other day if I'm doing like a sponsor post, stuff like that. All of that is in that hub, and very similarly to the other hubs, you can get deeper and deeper and deeper into projects and other things that you want to keep in there so that it's not in your brain, but it's all dumped in there, and you can access it very quickly and easily using this app or using the widget, and you won't lose your mind. This Notion is probably the main space that I can credit to me not losing my mind, because everything is in there. If I ever need to access a piece of information, if I ever need to rely on something, if I ever need to lean on something, if I ever have to remember an answer to a question, I can probably click into my Notion and find that answer, or find that deliverable, find that date, whatever it may be. And so these three different apps and their applicable or their associated widgets kind of go hand in hand. You can see they're all on one page because they all intertwine with each other. Certain things will bleed into the calendar, certain things will bleed into the Google Keep, certain things will live in Notion, some stay separate, some will never cross over, but I like to have all three of these as sort of like a companion thing going on so that I can keep all sorts of different types of things organized, from the very tiny, simple weekly meal prep to-do list to people's birthdays to large projects such as my holiday launch for Sunday Paper House. So I know that was a lot of information, and it might sound kind of scary to some people. And if you are feeling a little bit scared about that, I want to remind you that I have a Stress Less, Live More series, and I will link that series down below so that you can check it out, because in that series, I talk about how I structured my mindset in order for me to have an organization system. And then I also talk about these exact tools and how they are incorporated into my mindset and into this overarching organization system that actually works, that is actually effective. And it might sound scary because it's a lot of different things, doing a lot of different things. However, once it's all set up, and as you can clearly see, it's all set up for me, it is easy breezy. I just go into it whenever I need to go into it. It's not like I'm living in these spaces as much as it sounds like it is. It's only there set up for me so that whenever I need to rely on it, I can quickly just rely on it. So hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming. But of course, if you have any questions about anything that I talked about, if you want me to go in depth with any of the apps that I talked about, I know I did pretty much go in depth with Google Keep and Google Calendar, but if you want me to go even deeper, do let me know, and I'm happy to do dedicated videos on them again, like a refresher, because the last time I did dedicated videos on those two and Notion has been several years, to be honest with you. It might be 5 years at this given moment. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks again to the person that asked this question. It's a really fantastic question. Keep sending your questions and suggestions, and I will talk to you in the next video.